Hello and welcome everybody to the Silent Hill Ascension pre-show. I'm Eduardo, joined here by Layla, and Layla's going to introduce the run of show as we usually do, but this time things are a little bit different.
Yes, so welcome, as Eduardo said, to the Silent Hill Ascension pre-show. It is currently 5:40 Pacific time. The show will start, as it always does, promptly at 6 p.m. Pacific, and that airs every weekday. And then for the post-show, you can join us right after the indoor stream, and we'll be right here. Eduardo, do you have any more details for us in terms of what we've got going today and going forward?
No, for sure. So one of the things is the holiday break's coming up. Some of you might have noticed the reindeer antlers Layla has. I've been wearing also dressing up a little bit as well because, we want to take stock of the year, what's been going on. So it's time to discuss the story so far. We're going to go back to the beginning, but the thing for all of you to understand is in the pre-show and poster, we're really going to look at the story so far. So we're going to go way back at the start. We're going to go through all the thematics we've gone. Right now on your screen, our production team's going to play the Pennsylvania opening scene, our first video, where Rachel performs the Foundation initiation ritual on Joy, which results in Joy's death by the Entangler. And what we're going to do, audience, is we're going to go through kind of the story, what we've seen so far, the characters, so that when we go on the holiday break, you feel content. You're like, okay, I understood what's up. Of course, you'll enjoy the show as usual. No problem on that at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Now, funny story about this scene. When we were setting up the hosted show, which is our kind of internal name for, us, the host, being on air with you, we had to practice, we had to train, we had to prepare, as, good practice dictates. Now, the thing is, we've seen this scene. Layla, how many times roughly? I'm like 20 plus at least.
Man, Eduardo, I have the gift of gab, and towards the end, I started running out of new things to say about this scene, so probably about 20, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Layla, but I know you feel that you're out of new things to say about this scene, but let's be honest, we're gonna keep doing it. Because that's the thing, right? This scene was really how the experience opened. I believe it was kind of, for a lot of you in the audience, it was kind of your first look into Silent Hill Ascension outside of maybe one of the trailers. And the thing was, essentially, Joy dying was a huge catalyst for how the story opened in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, looking at this again after distance makes the heart grow fonder, Eduardo. So seeing this scene again, after a little bit of time away, it does make me miss the MVP that was Joy. We didn't actually know Joy, right? For most of our time with her, we kind of knew the idea of Joy that was painted by whatever was going on with Toby. So we saw a much rougher version of the girl that we're seeing in this scene. But hey, she's the reason Toby got involved in all this Foundation nonsense anyway, right? And we started with violence and we're continuing with violence, so it's a rough time for the folks of Pennsylvania, Eduardo.
No, for sure. And you're right? This is the only scene where we pretty much see Joy. Fundamentally, yes. We kept saying Toby's impression of Joy, but this is the only one where we see Joy. Like the actual character, and I mean, terrified, scared, doing a ritual that, I mean, just clearly goes wrong. And that's also
this is definitely as intended for Sherzies.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. We're rooting for the Entangler, right? We're rooting for the monsters. So, I mean, if you're rooting for the monsters, this definitely went as intended.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being, lightly facetious, but the quiet opening for us.
Oh no, yeah, definitely the straying. Oh my gosh, just watching that. By the way, this is with sound off, but with the sound always got to me there. And the big thing is, we're gonna actually throw up kind of the summary of how that story opened up in Pennsylvania. Layla, if you can kind of recap again here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we just want to call out here that you may hear the voice of our good friend Noah, who helped us write these notes. So if you have a giggle during this section, think of her. But hey, the season opened up with a big twist of Joy's neck. And we met the mysterious Entangler, one of our most horrifying monsters this season. Rachel, distressed by the undesired outcome of the ritual, had to decide how to handle Joy's death. That was our big opening, Eduardo, and I think, even if she made a decision, she's still dealing with the repercussions of it.
Well, that's the big thing, right? We talk about Joy dying, but really what this is it's kind of Rachel's catalyst to the story, because, it sets the foundation, it sets the ritual, what's going on, but really this is what started Rachel's, our view and the audience's view into Rachel's character. And that was like a big difference, right? It's not just, so to speak, a character died because it brings life into another one.
Yes, it certainly was a catalyst for, as you said, as like our view of Rachel's story. So clearly, she's had a history, but Joy dying was really kind of the catalyst for everything going on now. And we thought, she thought Toby's death would be the catalyst for it ending, but she wasn't correct. And hey, we have a whole other locale, right? And we can move on to Norway and see what's going on with the Johansons.
Right, time to move on to Norway in the beginning. So our production team's going to play the Norway opening scene, the second video, where Carl's going to discover that his wife has died and wrestles with how to break the news to his daughter. I mean, this was definitely... it wasn't quite the first scene, right? Like, we had Carl dealing with monsters just before, but like, essentially Carl finds Ingrid dead, but Ingrid died in a way that, like, I'd say, Joy's death, a little bit of sadness. As the weeks went on, I don't think Ingrid's death was seen with as much sadness as we went on.
I'm gonna be real bold here, Eduardo, and I'm gonna say no, it wasn't. It was not seen with a lot of sadness. The audience certainly decided that Astrid should fess up that she's a monster during her funeral. I think a lot of folks are aligned with that take. Ingrid is a tough character, right, to deal with, and we did see her die, but much like Joy, she is not done with the Johansson family, right? She keeps coming back. We keep seeing Astrid's and Carl's impressions of her, or whatever those manifestations are, and it's unpleasant. She did say stab mommy in the eye, so
yeah. Well, the funny part is when Joy kind of died and Toby saw her, we kind of knew, like, the character was completely separate, right? Like, that didn't feel like the sister, so to speak. Here, I mean, probably stabbed mommy in the eye, not quite what she'd say alive, but like, it was a lot closer to the character alive.
It was it was in the spirit of Ingrid, right? I know there's actually, and you might be more helpful with this than I would be, I think there's a French saying that captures the emotion I'm trying to go for.
What would it be? I'm trying to think. There's a lot of really great French sayings, but...
No, we steal a lot of them.
I mean, yeah, we'll figure it out, but like, one of the big things here, by the way, is, this week, by the way, in content, a lot of you might be familiar with, kind of Astrid starting to get accused with Morrison, but let's go back to Ingrid, right? I mean, Carl was the original person everybody was going after, right? Carl was the caretaker, there was the needle on the floor, like, Ingrid's body was found by Carl, the needle was there by Carl. So the question was, Astrid was wondering whether the father was responsible, for her mother's death, and she was like questioning, well, I've been taking care of my work and my son. So that got her away from her son and into her mother. But like, by the time it was too late.
Right. And now we have this added element of seeing that good old Aunt Mette, for some reason, had some morphine on her, right? We saw that in a struggle. So there's a lot of pieces, a lot of moving parts to this puzzle, and for right now, no solution. So
yeah. So the thing is, right, we're going to have that come up on screen, right? How the story opened in Norway. Layla's going to do, as usual, the pleasure of reading that for all of you at home.
Absolutely. And once again, thank you, Noah, very much for this homage in the cards. We entered the sad, wet world of old man Carl and his newly deceased monstrous wife, Ingrid. Astrid, Carl, and Ingrid's daughter Astrid, Carl, and Ingrid's daughter, I know how to read a sentence, finds Ingrid's body in the bedroom along with a suspicious syringe. Astrid questions whether or not her father was responsible for her mother's death. So a lot of the stuff we just alluded to, or actually just spoke plainly about, Eduardo, coated in a layer of a fun murder mystery, and by fun I mean no one gets a break.
No, for sure. I mean, and the thing, right, as well, was later on, Ingrid's body went missing as well. There was a lot of drama around that, right? We didn't know it was morphine, figured that out. Ingrid's body went missing, came back, seemed like the body was desecrated in some way. But even after all that, Ash just like, yeah, she was a monster. Like it's quite like the simple like there was a sense of it being quite like strong. Like there was an aversion, right, to this character of Ingrid, and that's how the Norway story was. It wasn't like quite as dramatic a death, but it was clearly a very cathartic one. Now, I spoke of death. We have to move on to Toby. Now we're gonna play a key scene from Toby. This is the third video we have for you tonight. The scene you've all seen. One of the ones where Toby is continuing to try to leave town, where Joy appears to make him have second thoughts about Rachel's recruitment effort. This scene, by the way, maybe not the most harrowing. I think seeing Joy in the forest was, for me, like that was like the introduction to Toby, where he punches Eric, rightfully so, absolutely rightfully so, for giving him that shitty pamphlet when his sister's dead. Correct. But then, you know, in the forest where he has to kind of deal with Joy. Now, this one for me was more marking because that was a very big thing. This is the first time I remember where Joy changed Toby, and that's really important.
Yeah, we got actually a chat highlight from Ate, which says justice for Toby. And that's what I was going to say. Stole the words right out of my mouth. I agree. I think, you know, while I agree that, you know, the scene with Joy in the forest was more harrowing, this for me has a certain futility, like a damp je ne sais quoi that I really loved about the Toby arc, where he's trying to leave and he can't because he's just keeps showing back up at the Foundation, and this spirit or this manifestation or appearance of Joy just won't let him go, and it ultimately results in his death. So for me, you know, my personal favorite tragedies to observe are the ones about futility. So I quite like this scene. It has a special place in my shriveled little heart.
Yeah, and what I liked the most about that scene was that very ending with Krista at the doorstep.
Yes, Krista loves to pop up in an ending. That's it. She is a stunt queen. She loves to make an entrance. She loves to make an exit. She loves to make a little flirtation. I'm a big fan.
No, for sure. And I mean, we're seeing now Krista with Eric. That's a foreshadowing for the next section, so to speak. But you know, one of the things with Toby is, we'll talk about as well with the audience choices, but that was the big thing, was that very last moment between kind of him attacking Rachel in the damnation option and sacrificing himself was so close. Like, I know the development team we were actually on the edge of our seats because, you know, we have to prepare everything. We have to make sure it's ready, but we didn't know what the audience would eventually have winning because it was so close. And obviously eventually Toby sacrificed himself. And by the way, for you, the audience members at home who didn't have the chance to check out the interview with Agustin, who was kind of one of our cinematic directors, we got to show during that interview a key scene where Toby got to escape, basically saw Joy. The scene was very short. It was 15-20 seconds, but to paint you the picture, we saw Toby see Joy. Joy told him to go, and he just left into the fog. And that was it. So that was what could have happened. It's not, though, what happened, because what happened is going to show up on your screen. Layla's going to recap this for you.
Oh, boy howdy, would I love to. And we have a handy graphic. So Toby's story. Toby, the town fuck-up, as his sister's ghost called him, could just not catch a break all season. Plagued by visions of his dead sister Joy, Toby struggled to decide how to react to her death. Eventually, deciding to sacrifice himself for the withering to end, we said goodbye to our beloved friend Toby. I took this very hard. Noah took this very hard. You know, Eduardo just tipped his cap. Toby has been, through all the iterations of the script, like knowing the character of Toby and knowing all the ways his story was before we, you know, settled on a final path. I really loved that character, and I was quite sad to see him, in a very earnest way, quite sad to see him go. So, R.I.P. to a king.
For sure. And the thing is, like, on behalf of the development team, I know that, like, for a lot of our staff, Toby was definitely one of the most hallmark characters, beloved by our staff, and I know beloved by many of you, the audience. So I hope you had at least joy in discovering the character and in living through that story, even though Toby, again, is dead and has the hope. Now, we're going to move on to the Foundation because that was a key part in Toby's story. Now we're going to see Toby again in this scene, but again, the Foundation of our characters, Eric, Krista, Xavier, and kind of a lot of you actually from the audience. The Foundation seems to have a lot of cameo appearances from the audience. So our production team's going to play that on screen for you. That's our 4th video, the Foundation scene 4th video. Toby, Rachel, and members of the Foundation see indisputable proof that the Wyvering is spreading in Hope's Junction. And Layla, the Wyvering here is key. Because everywhere else, we see monsters, they don't know what's going on. The Foundation is the one organization who's capable of naming the thing.
Or at least, they feel like they have the authority to name the thing. There's a lot of, in the starting of a organization, a lot of presumption, right? A lot of presumption that you are the authority, that you are the only thing that could possibly stop this, this calamity. And part of that presumption feeds a lot of egos, and those egos have resulted in the death of our beloved, Toby. It's wild to watch, and when you think about the, not to bring up kind of the meta of this show, but you brought it up yourself, right? We have made the audience complicit in this because they get drawn to be members of this organization, and it's certainly a place to be.
One big happy family. Now, the thing with every family is you need leaders, apparently. I'm going to go with that. So the thing is, at the start of our show, you got to see the elders being referred to quite a bit. We don't actually see them, frankly, but they are referred to a lot. Later on, as kind of shit hits the fan and monsters appear everywhere and the Wyvering is taking place, we have essentially Xavier, it goes right back to it because while Xavier's the leader here, Krista and Rachel kind of essentially have a leadership battle going on, and that was a key of the last couple of scenes as well.
Yeah. As a producer, I love a contingency plan, and I love that Xavier's contingency plan was like the pettiest option. Just, somewhat almost posthumously send a kind of petty letter to be like, hey Krista, you're my girl, don't trust that, to paraphrase Mean Girls, don't trust that fugly skank Rachel, right? Like it was very Regina George of him, and I respect that. not in a real way, but I just love mess, me and Marie Kondo.
No, for sure. And again, now we're at the Xavier being catatonic stage, but I did want to shout out from our chat, Token All Night, because thanks for the cameo system. Thanks for the cameo system. I had a speaking role yesterday. Well, we hope you enjoy your little bit of immortality, and you get to rewatch that scene with you in it. So we hope you do enjoy that. Congrats again. But again, you, the audience, can be part of that by taking part in the cameo contest. Now, what we're going to do as well here is we're going to quickly have on screen appear kind of that summary of the Foundation, because the show's going to be really soon. So Layla's going to read that out for us quickly as our production team puts it on screen, and then we're going to let you enjoy the show.
Absolutely. So the Foundation it names the Withering. It is also a structured organization with leadership conflicts amongst the elders, and also Rachel and Krista, and rituals that just keep going wrong. Or if you like death and dismemberment, so right.
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't seen one of their rituals go the way they wanted it to, but again, we're barely a minute from our show. So the thing is, it's time for the show. In the post-show, we'll discuss Astrid and Orson, the Norway crew, Rachel and Faith, as well as some of the absolute highlights of audience choices that you've all made. But the thing is, we're going to be back in the post-show to discuss it. It'll be Layla and myself. Now, in the meantime, the show exclusive content, brand new, that you're going to get to watch live. You'll get the endurance scene after, and then after that, the post-show. So Eduardo and Layla, we're signing off for now, but we'll see you right after. Take care.